related to the science of forensic linguistics that our group had talked about last time? Yes, because text and instant messaging may soon cease to be another method of communication. So if we have future children, we need to tell them that not to do this kind of thing. And advancing in forensic linguistic research make it possible to identify the sender and also predict the gender and age of author with some degree of success. I want to put this in because the case in sexting maybe reminds me of the case of Li Zhongrui. So, and that happened when some people just forward his video clip to others, but the men who forward them are arrested. But a lot of more people who do that all the time, but only he is arrested. So it's a little controversial at that time. So I put the science of forensic linguistics here in this case. And linguistics are asked to help the police and courts when there is a dispute over the authorship of a written text, suicide note, and what we talk about text messages. And linguists help identify the author incriminating material, whether it would be a threatening note, documents planning a terrorist attack, or blah blah blah. So after all the explanation, I think you are ready. Okay, let's get into our case. It's happened in 2010. And in high school, it happened in high school in Iowa, in Independence. There's a place called Independence. Okay, a teen girl take her own picture with a cell phone and send it to a teenage. I don't know the purpose, and I don't know what a teenage is. And he forwarded to several friends, who sent out several to others. And what happened? A student who received the forward photo reported to his parents, and of course his parents reported it to school, and the school reported it to law enforcement officials. So it's an easy case, and what you can understand is teens feel pressure to engage in sexting. I believe not everyone loves to sex. And another important point is 51% of girls surveyed say they feel peer pressure from a boyfriend or male friend where they want them to sex back. Okay, so it's your turn to think about it. I hope you can answer on 2 or the 4 questions. And I wish Dr. Rao can do this for us.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Of course, we're not going to go through the discussion. I just want to give some comments. First of all, I think it would be better to move to the video clip sooner because your time is limited. Roya, I hope you can trim this presentation. First of all, make it very clear which part is texting, which part is sexting, all right? Distinguish them clearly. Don't mix them, all right? And then show the video earlier so that people won't get distracted after explaining so many different terms. You know, people get bogged down. They are not interested. That if you can show it sooner, you can catch their attention. It will be much better, right? So you need to trim this a little bit and perhaps rework this into something else because we don't have time for any discussion. Right? Other comments? We're trying to help Group 1 to revise this to make it even better. Do you have other impression you want to raise? Yes, Joe?
Maybe they can exchange some sentences into some pictures.
Take what?
The whole sentence or the
So, in other words, use fewer words, more pictures. All right. Other comments? All right. When you do the presentation, are you the only person who's going to do it? Do you have other members? No? Okay. So then let's follow Joe's suggestion by reducing the words. Use pictures and video clip if you are the only person to do the presentation. Okay, let's move on to group 2. All right.
Hello everyone, welcome to our joint presentation. And as most of you have already known, today we are going to talk about sexual harassment. And the case we choose is called C.C. McDonald. And it is what you are going to listen minutes later. But let's just skip that one. Sexual harassment. And first of all, let's talk about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is bullying or coercion. You know, I have a little problem, which is I had difficulty in reading. So it may take about 30 minutes for me to read through the whole slide of this PowerPoint. Just give me a minute. Come on. I'm not going to do that. If you are, since I have problem in reading, so I usually experience my world by example. If you come from Taoyuan, you might be familiar with this logo. To my parents, this means their son's promising future, good English speaking skills, such and such and such. To me, that means sad, torture, humiliation, and hell, something like that. But if you're not come from Taoyuan, maybe you will be more familiar with this logo. Anyways, even though I hate that place, I did learn something there. I still remember the first time I went into the classroom, there is a strange foreigner on stage was talking about the weather. And he told us, he said, repeat after me. It's so hot. Hot, hot, hot. So, the other day when I grew up, I was trying to practice my English skills, so I met Michelle, our classmate. I told her, I said, Michelle, it's so hot, 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 hot. Cool, no problem. But if I change the way I speak just a little bit, that would be a totally another story. It goes like this. Well, Michelle, it's so hot. Hot, hot, hot. Like that. That will cause some severe consequences. Now, so I concluded sexual harassment into 3A. First, it can happen at any time, and it can take place in anywhere. Most important of all, as long as the victim has any kind of uncomfortable feelings. That's sexual harassment. Then, we are going to talk about transgender. A general term applied to, you know, my issue. So, what's transgender? This, transgender. Don't laugh, don't laugh. The reason I choose this person in this picture is not about making fun of her. Actually, I'm kind of respect her because she has the courage to be herself. And the only reason I choose this picture because she is the only transgender host who is famous enough to be our representative examples. So please do not misunderstand my intention. And next, we change this one. This will be a picture. So just in case, ignore this one. Just in case that some of you might not really understand what a transgender is, so please look at this picture. I would like to do a little activity and interaction with you. Please tell me by raising your hand, do you think the person in this picture is a he or she? And who thinks is a she? No one. And who thinks is a he? A he. I need someone to raise your hand. A he. Good. Fair enough. So the answer is she's my very own sister. And I swear to God, I can guarantee she is not a transgender. So for those who just raise your hand and thought she is a transgender, please write down your name and hand it over. I'm going to sue you later. Anyways, today we are going to talk about our case which is Cici McDonald. Who is Cici? Did it happen in McDonald restaurant? Let's see what our group members have to say.
Alright, thanks Joey. So let's start with Cici McDonald case. First, before we start with our case, you guys have to know first, who is Cici? Cici McDonald was born in Chicago in 1989 with a male body and was born with the name Christian Reed McDonald. And finally at the age of 14, with her family support, she decided to be living as a woman. And since then, she was undergoing hormone treatments to continue her transformation to be a woman. So the case goes like this. There was a time when Cici, one of her female friends and her two gay friends went to the groceries and to buy some things. And they passed by a bar and they met Smiths, a guy named Smiths and his gang. Smiths then saw Cici and her friends and he called up to them using such rude and bad words. Oh, you faggots, you nigger lovers, and whoop the woo, you ain't nothing but a bunch of nigger babies. For you guys who don't know what this word nigger is, it's a bad words using to address black people. This nigger, actually we can immediately connect it with a word negro, which means black people, American people, African people, and actually it's a slang used by white people to call the black people when in the past time they were actually a slave. So this nigger is actually to address a slave, black slave. And then, of course, any normal people would stood up to Smith, and the Cici's friends, which the gay one, stood up Smith and said, "What did you want?" And then Smith replied back using even harsher words. "Look at the tranny over there. Look at the tranny." And then finally, after arguing back and forth, and the fight grew on, someone finally smashed a glass across Cici's face, opening a gas in her left cheek, and of course that makes her bleeding right. But finally the fight was on, and then Cici and Smith moved to the street, and unfortunately for Cici, there is a witness. This guy named Gary Gilbert, and according to Gary Gilbert, Smith and McDonald moved into the street away from the rest of the group. And according to Gary Gilbert, Cici took out a scissors from her purse, and then Smith shuffling his fists like he's going to do a boxing, and in the end McDonald thrust the scissors to Smith's heart, and then left Smith bleed to death. But Smith actually a criminal from the start? Actually, since turning 18, Smith has faced more than 2 dozen criminal cases. He has been convicted of 5th-degree assault and domestic assault, including robbery and killing, and so on and so on. Besides that, the word outlaw is tattooed across his back. And the most important one is on his chest. It's found at a 4-inch wound of swastika. Swastika is this tattoo. It's not a Buddhist tattoo like you guys may know. It's different. This one means hatred and violence toward black people. It's actually a Nazi symbol. And then the part it is found from the toxicology results. Actually, that day Smith has a lot of combination of methamphetamine and benzoylecgonine, which can cause sudden, unpredictable, and unwarranted violence. And so we can see that is CC really wrong by stabbing Smith because she feels in danger, or actually Smith is actually a criminal from the start.
Trials begin. We don't know for sure who is guilty and who is not. So here the argument from Isaac C.C. McDonald's lawyer. McDonald was also bleeding profusely from the wound in her face from the shattered glass and had every reason to believe she was in danger. Remember? Smash the glass on her face and make a wound. She receives 11 stitches to her cheek. She acted in self-defense. She stabbed him, but her actions were reasonable when confronted with a reasonable possibility of bodily harm or death to herself. So the conclusion is, it can't any kind of intentional action in her part. It's not intentional. The opposite argument is from the county attorney Freeman. It's a simple affair. She took a person's life. Any civilization put a penalty on taking the life of other individual. The exception would be in wartime or in self-defense. She stepped forward to thrust a weapon into a person that had not assaulted her. This was not self-defense. Why so? Because the first evidence. No evidence to suggest Smith posed a threat to McDonald's life. Someone else would smash the glass on McDonald's face and not Smith. Second argument. If McDonald believed she was in danger, she had every opportunity to run away. But why instead she grabbed her purse, take a scissor and thrust her, and keep fighting? It's a question. And then the end of the trial, she given a generous offer. It's like she given a choice to keep fighting, insist she act in self-defense, put her family through a trial and risk 40 years in prison if lose. Or to step back, give in and accept an expected 41 months in prison. A minimum punishment for second-degree manslaughter is 41 months. She eventually take the offer. The offer was deemed generous, factoring by serve and good behavior. McDonald could be free in a year and a half. But in taking it, McDonald would have to throw out her legal claim of self-defense and confess that she created an unreasonable risk of injury or death by putting the scissors towards Smith, who was unarmed.